Time now, guys, for AMR Artifact Material Raid Stage 21. This is the melee stage. You need tons of fighters, some Lunacy Visor artifacts, and you're kind of good to go. Yesterday I made a video on AMR 22 that is all about platformers. That one is a lot harder. This one is so ridiculously free to play accessible. We're just gonna hop right in. You essentially need 3 DPS. That is it. You can bring more, especially if you need a little extra help because your gear isn't there. But as you'll see, there's just 3 key spots, and then you throw Gluttony in the corner and you are good to go. Let me show you right now in the stats. I just finished a practice run, and here you go. We have our chief primary DPS, Estrid, doing almost exactly the same thing she does in AMR 22. She's right in front of the portal, she's pointed down, she whacks everybody. She does nearly all the damage. Then in the bottom left-hand corner, helping her out, we have another 100% free-to-play AoE DPS, this time a legendary. We're not doing all epics today. We're using 2 legendaries, but both are 100% free-to-play. So we have Volka, she's from the Volka quests, and then we have Abomination. Everyone will fuse him within their first 2 months playing, unless your luck is crazy. Abomination, though, is just kind of taking up space, as you're going to see. It's just Volka is the kind of secondary sub-DPS, whatever you want to call it, to Estrid. That's it. We have Gluttony over in the corner, and then we need 1 DPS for the top left. And literally, any fighter that deals any amount of damage that has more than 1 tile range can do it. To prove that to you, I used Ein, who's actually not that bad, but he certainly is not that good. Who could not do it that has 2 tiles of range? I would think Scorch would struggle, and that's about it. So let's head into the fight. Let me take you through it. A pure, clean, easy walkthrough. Let me show you the team right now all together. It's 8 epics and then our 2 free-to-play legendaries in Abomination and Volka. You know what I'll do? I'll turn Abomination's special skin off too, just to make it look even more approachable. The gear in this is good. At this point on my account, all my gear is really good, but as I showed you in the AMR 22 video, which I highly suggest you guys go check out, all of these heroes can easily be leveled up with legendary heroes, drastically reducing the gear requirement, drastically reducing the artifact requirement, and I highly suggest you do so. So at the end of the fight, once we beat it, I take you through the walkthrough. I'll go back to the middle of the fight when you see everyone placed, and I'll just talk you through every kind of hero upgrade you could bring in and just make your life a whole lot easier. After that, for good measure, we'll head into the gallery and I'll just point out the key fighters that would really shine in this content. All right, guys, AMR 21, pretty darn easy, 100% free to play, super accessible, melee time. Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
So let's head into battle. After the battle and after I show you the placements and subs, I will go over the gear very quickly though, because like I said, you do not need the kind of gear I'm using once you bring your legendary heroes. Quite frankly, I don't even need this gear. It's just this is the gear I have on my account. But you'll see, it's very straightforward. It essentially comes down to throwing Gluttony in the corner, Estrid as primary DPS, Volka as secondary DPS, and then Ein, or literally anyone with 2 tiles of range or more, besides probably Scorch in the top left. Let's get into it. First things first, let's make myself a tiny bit smaller, move myself up to the middle, away from the quick cast. Let's hop right in. Super straightforward strat, everybody. You can get creative with it if you want. If you just want to beat it, literally follow this strategy to a T. There was some flexibility with the platform one for AMR 22 I showed yesterday. With this, if you want to beat it, just do this. It is so easy. Okay, so first things first, we're going to place our Estrid, and she goes right here pointing down. Just like yesterday, except she's 1 tile further from the portal. That's just so we can put another melee unit behind her. Next, we're going to place our healer, in this case Vortex. You can see he's wearing an Invigoration set, which thus gives an Invigoration buff to Estrid, 10% post-deployment attack boost. Honestly, you don't need it. For my build, it's overkill, but if you have it, why not use it? You don't need that much healing unless you're not killing the mobs fast enough, but if you do it right, you will kill them fast enough. It's pretty straightforward. Honestly, this strategy, if you want to get creative, you can, but if you just want to beat it, follow this guide to a T. I promise you it will work, and if it doesn't, you just need to work on maybe your skill ups or your gear. Simple as that. The other key thing is you need lunacy visors for this because you need increased block, and we're going to use a lot of fighters. My lunacy visors, this is an artifact that gives 1 extra block as well as some healing. Some of them are high promotion. They don't need to be. I'm just using what I have. I'm using 5, I believe, 5 lunacy visors. You could get away with 4, maybe even less if your DPS was really, really good, but they could all be base promo. You just need a nice handful of them just to control all the units coming in and make sure you have enough block. After we got these two placed, we're going to place Dallin over here. It doesn't really matter where you place Dallin, just that she's not in the bottom area because we don't want her getting shellacked. She's the best choice for this. You could use Narvi or Cyrene. The reason Dallin is so good is because her cost generation is dependent on time, not dependent on her ultimate. So you don't have to worry about her building rage or not building rage because she's not putting out attacks or getting hits. At max skill ups, she will generate 15 cost every 25 seconds like clockwork. It's super simple. Also, you don't even need a cost generator, but I just think it's nice to do because it makes the run really easy and not sweaty at all. And that's the theme of this thing. As you can see, this is just very easy. Next placement will be our secondary DPS. For us, in this case, it's going to be Volka. I think she's a great choice, especially if you have some skill ups into her. Really good, 100% free AoE DPS. And by the way, some people might be saying, I don't have Estrid. Starting literally 15 hours from now or so, when the Kagiri event begins, Estrid will be purchasable in the event shop 100% for free with the event currency that we will earn tons of over the next week. So everyone will have her. So there's no excuse. These two, that is enough. All right, next up, we wait. We're waiting. All right, here goes Abomination. We'll point him up. Abomination obviously is going to be, once he gets 2 ults out, so by the end of the fight, a ranged AoE fighter. It doesn't need to be him, but I just think he's free and accessible. You could easily bring any normal fighter as well. Estrid and Volka in a decent build, or a good build, frankly, they can cover this very comfortably. You will see when I show you Abomination's gear, he's in a pretty ratchet Glacier set. We don't need much. We've got a great build on Estrid and Volka. They'll take care of everything. Even with Wrath, he's going to do very little. And then we just need Ein and Gluttony in the corners. Let's go. I've talked a lot. I've yapped a lot. The strategy will make perfect sense to all of you when you see it. So we wait. Down's about to trigger. She does. We get Wrath pointed up. Wrath is a great choice because obviously he's 100% free. You get him on day 14. Once you have him A5, he heals very well, so you're never worried about him dying, and he can put out some DPS. Nothing here matters too much. Key thing, why we need Vortex or a Vortex ranged unit, Vortex, Hollow, Gwendolyn, Pharisee, so on, is because we can fit comfortably everyone in the battle in this range, except for Gluttony, again, who will go in the top right corner. So we trigger with Estrid, and you'll see I'll throw this on 2x. She's just going to start deleting people. We don't even need an ult with Volka. We'll save it. We could wait for another cost boom from Dallin, but we don't need it. We already have enough. So let's get Ein down. Again, he could be replaced by literally any fighter in the game that has more than 1 tile of range. And then we will place the tank in front of him. That's going to be Olog. Olog, in this case, is wearing an Invigoration set. I don't need it, but also why not? This is a technique I wanted to show you guys. It's not very hard for him to tank here, even if it's higher level content. Between the heals and the shields from Vortex and his consistent Silver Shield passive, you don't need that great of a build. You don't need any crazy Guardian set or one of the Will sets, right? Just put him in an Invig that has any HP bonus main stats, and then you can get a little buff on this guy, and it makes the build even easier. We're already off to the races. The fight's basically done. These are the deploys. We just let it all go through. So we wait. We might as well put some shields up with Vortex, even though we don't need to. We'll trigger Volka there. The one key thing, guys, is you don't want to wait too long to kill all these guys. So you don't want to hold your ults forever, because if you do wait too long, they will explode and they start killing your units. So we're going to trigger Volka. Now we just triggered Estrid. You can see over here, Ein, this build on him, he didn't even need to ult to kill like the bigger mob that came down. I'll ult with him now just so you can see how quickly he's able to delete people. Ein in a good build totally works. Once these portals in the top right bust open, you can go and place Gluttony on that topmost tile. And this is it. The fight's done. Gluttony, key thing here, unless you've got an incredible build on him with tons of HP and crit damage, attack speed, just make sure he's in a Lunacy Visor, because otherwise he'll only be able to block 2 at a time. This allows him to block 3. It just makes it so much easier to build him. So you can just put a ton of HP on him, a ton of attack speed, and you're good to go. Because every time he ults, obviously, he's going to fully consume one of those mobs. It's pretty straightforward. You'll see he just ate one of them. Easy. We wait. Here comes some ults. Trigger with Vortex, trigger with Volka, now Estrid. See over here, Gluttony's about to eat another guy. He does. And now you can see he kills this other guy. He blocks 2, but even if he hadn't killed that guy, he easily would be able to block 3. He's in like a base level Lunacy Visor, I'm pretty sure. We'll go over that at the end. And here we go, the boss is already marching down. None of these guys got through because of Gluttony, so he didn't get to heal himself. He has no increased attack. It's very simple. He's already down to 16 health. As he gets down here, it's already close to 10%. Estrid won't even have to ult. She's so good if you get a little bit of attack speed on her at keeping the uptime on this defense break. All this is physical damage. Obviously, Abomination can't hit the boss from here, but with these other 3, and almost instantaneously, we deleted everybody. GG. So like I said, a couple of my builds were a little overkill, but it really doesn't take much. It's all about the placement. It's all about the strategy. I'm pretty proud of this one. I think it's really easy and really darn straightforward. So here is our DPS. Wrath did a little bit in the end, but it's really Ein holding a corner, Gluttony holding a corner, and then these 2 main girls taking care of everything. So let me bring you, I'll quickly just auto this, I'll bring you to the middle of the fight, and then I want to show you all the possible substitutions. All right, back in the fight again. I just autoed to this point. We have all our deploys settled. So I'm going to take you through tile by tile, placement by placement, hero by hero, and give you some other alternatives. Right after this, we will go to the gallery just to make sure I didn't miss anyone, but I'll just kind of explain the roles so you can perfectly adapt this to your roster. For this top right corner, I really think you should just use Gluttony or Wrath. You need some unit that can deal some amount of DPS or at least execute, eliminate the heroes like Gluttony does, and has some self-healing. You can get away without some self-healing, but keep in mind they'll keep getting hit by this AoE from the big boss over here, so they're gonna have to attack pretty rapidly to stay sufficiently healed just from the Lunacy Visor. And if you use a better hero than like a Gluttony or a Wrath that doesn't also have self-healing, they might kill these enemies too fast, and then they have nothing to hit, so they can't get their health back up, so they die. So I really think you should just use Gluttony, and if you don't have him, use Wrath. For the Estrid role, the primary DPS, the one right here pointing down, Magda is the best choice in the game by a mile. She's so freaking good at it. Right after, I would say, is Ardia and then Estrid. It's a very, very similar role to what you saw in my AMR 22 guide. You just want someone that has big, consistent, kind of deadly AoE. A lot of other people with hybrid-y damage, someone like an Arrogance, can totally work, but I think those 3 are the top choices. Estrid honestly works better than Arrogance, and like I said, all of you are about to get her for free. For this role here, where we have Abomination, it really doesn't matter. Same for this role here with Wrath. We just want people built enough that they don't die, but as you can see, they don't take that much damage, and then we'd love them to do some amount of DPS. They don't even have to be ranged fighters, they don't even have to be AoE fighters. If you have them, it helps, but really any functional fighter would work. So if we're talking epics I didn't use, it could be a Deimos would work well here. Vladov could even work in a pretty good build. Or if we go to legendaries, it could basically be anyone, right? Even Knezza would be fine. Or if we want to go to some better heroes, Helga could be really good. Or even better, Zealatu would do it really well. If they have the range, it's a plus, but even a single tile range like a Knezza is a-okay. That's true of both of these roles, Abomination and Wrath. Now to Volka, I think you should just use Volka, because you're going to have her and she's free, but ideally you just want some AoE ranged fighter DPS. So we talked about Magda, we talked about Estrid, we talked about Ardia. Valkyra would be phenomenal in this spot. She'd be really, really good. You can kind of imagine and go through your roster in your head. I will go to the gallery in a second, but off the top of my head, those are great choices. And then finally for Ein, literally anyone can do this. You don't need that much damage to kill these guys, especially once you have a nice tank in front, who, by the way, definitely should be wearing a Bastion ring to increase his block. So if you've got an Olog, he'll be up to 4 block. You could use someone like Avalyn, get up to 5 block. Any legendary tank in a Bastion ring would be great. I just think Olog's super easy because of all the shielding, so why not use him? He's 100% free from the Void Rift. And then you saw, Ein did this like nothing. The build's good, but it's not like Ein's that good. So you could plug in anyone that has extended range. I would stay away from heroes like Valeria who extend their range during the ult. Just get someone who has at least 2 tiles in front range, but that is basically every single ranged melee fighter in the game. Finally, we have got Vortex. So like I said, anyone with Vortex range would be great. I think Hollow and Fasti would be the two best healers at this in the game. I've done this with Gwendolyn. The shields are so much you never have to worry about healing. Obviously, Dasami would be really good at this. He would provide some inspiration too, just like Fasti. He's just rarer. You could just use anyone with this range. Eluin can work, but keep in mind, you're only going to heal these two guys when she's ulting, so make sure these guys have lunacy visors. I just don't think you need Eluin. If you're the kind of account that has Eluin, you very likely have Hollow. She's easier to use for this, so why not? Finally, our two girls in the bottom right that we didn't deploy. Isolde's job is to be a Northerner Lord. We need a Northerner Lord because we're using Estrid, so obviously Isolde's a great choice. This even would be completely fine with Dagna, and then obviously Elder and Hearts, our legendary Lord options, would be fantastic. Like I said, because we had so much time before we needed to place Gluttony and even Ein and Olag over here, you don't really need cost generation. I just like it because it makes it less sweaty. Down's the best choice, then it would be Cyrene, then it would be Narvi. All right, let's head out of this battle. Let's go to the gallery, and let's just make sure we didn't miss anyone. All right, guys, here are all the fighters. I'm just going to say everyone we skipped that would still be awesome and point out a couple that wouldn't be good and explain why. Ma would be very bad. One tile of range, he's not that good. No good reason to use him. That being said, he has nice base stats for that Wrath or Abomination role. He could work. I'd put him in the Wrath spot, obviously, not the Abomination spot. Same thing with Salazar, way better of a hero than Ma, crazy damage, but he only gets the extended range on his ultimate. You're better off with other options unless you don't have them. Again, I would not put him in the Abomination spot, I'd put him in the Wrath spot. Zeala 2 would be amazing, Valkyria would be phenomenal where we had Volka. By the way, both of these girls, Zeala 2 and Valkyria, would be great at doing Ein's job. I did a run, my initial clear with Valkyria in Ein's spot. It was insanely easy. Ares would be phenomenal for this fight. He could do basically any role except for the primary DPS Estrid role, but he could do Ein's job, he could do Abomination's job. If your Estrid or your Magda or whomever you're using as that primary DPS is doing a good enough job, he could even go where Volka is. Arrogance could do any job on the board. Fantastic. I wouldn't put him in the top right, save that for Gluttony and Wrath, but he could shine in any other spot. Abomination can basically do all of it too. If you do want him to primary DPS like Estrid was doing, you're going to need a pretty good build on him, but he can do it. Make sure you get him placed early so he can trigger his 2 ults and make that ranged AoE permanent. Aracha could be a good supplemental source, but she wouldn't be a good candidate for any of the chief DPSs. Luger would be phenomenal for everything except for the primary spot. He'd be really, really good in Ein's role. Absin would be the same as Aracha, a good supplemental unit. Ymeret would be terrible for this fight. When you ult with him, he cannot block. Blocking is the name of the game on this challenge, so do not use Ymeret. Valeria is good, but her range only extends during her ult. Still viable. The concern is she can kill herself, so just be very wary of that. If you have other options, use them. Cerberus totally works. You just have to think about cycling. It's kind of a more technical headache. I'd probably just avoid it. Giselle, she'll work, especially after her little buff. Giselle could do it. Again, not the Estrid job, but basically everything else. Elder, he could be like a supplemental one again, but not going to be a top choice. He'll be very tanky though. Falcia, it's such a sad thing she doesn't have extended range, but she is a good choice again for that Wrath spot. Ardia, strictly phenomenal. She can do the Volka job, the Estrid job, the Ein job. She can do any DPS, but you probably already know that. Helga can do nearly anything here. She could do the Ein job really well. She could even fill Volka's role decently, but I think she'd be best in Ein's role, and if not that, maybe where we had Abomination. Helga would be really good for this fight. Uridin, phenomenal everywhere. He'd be so good for this fight. He could even do the Estrid job. Magmus, unfortunately the range is annoying. It does improve on the ultimate. He would be kind of limited to supplemental stuff, but he can do it. Claw would be pretty darn good. The only concern is pulling too many units through, but he should be fine. The damage is certainly going to be good enough. Kineza, like I said, you'd really want her in like that Wrath spot and kind of nowhere else because of the one tile. Same thing with Jira. Lust is fantastic. A lot of you probably got her from her banner. I would use her literally anywhere except for the Estrid role and the Gluttony role. For Valderon, it goes without saying, he can do all of this in his sleep. He's Valderon. Magda, the best hero in the game for this. She could literally do anything, and she would do it the best. Thalon would be phenomenal, a little specific because of the way he throws his spear. I would suggest putting him in Volka's spot or putting him in Ein's spot. he would do a very good job. And then we have all our epics. You can see you have absolutely options galore. This is not, I mean, this is turning into a very in-depth video for something I don't find to be that hard. If you have any further questions, let me know in the comments. Quickly now, very quickly, I will take you through the builds, mostly focusing on the artifacts, and then we'll wrap up. All right, first up, we've got Wrath. I had him in a nice build, nice Soulbound Arcana, nice Annihilating Might. Here are the stats if you want to see. Now we've got the artifact, key thing, Lunacy Visor, but as I said, you can easily get away with +1, 0 promotion. Let's keep going. Volka, very good build here. This is kind of like my Zila 2 build, or a version of it, a slightly worse version of it from my Guild Boss 1 and my Guild Boss 2. Key thing though, you want a solid amount of DPS, you don't need this much, but a key thing is, because my Estrade build was good enough, this was the one unit I chose not to put a Lunacy Visor on. So we actually went for a lot more DPS, and I put a Wailing Skull on her, and as you saw, it worked. It kind of is overkill. We could just get away with, I don't know if I had another Lunacy Visor to throw on. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. So that's why I went for this. Quite frankly, I think I should have just switched her artifact with Ein's. It would have made it easier. But as you saw, Ein did more than enough damage, and we killed that first mob fast enough that we didn't need the 1 extra block. Moving along, we've got Abomination. This is not the nicest build. If you guys caught my video today about gear recommendations, I said a lot of times the DPS gear of Glacier, you don't have to worry about saving it or the thumbs up, because those will be ancients. Here's some pretty mediocre stuff, as you can see. No crit damage in sight, but you know, we got him close to crit cap, we got a ton of HP, a decent amount of attack. It's a build, it's mostly tankage, he's not fully skilled, it doesn't matter, just get him in a Lunacy Visor. So for Gluttony, you just want a lot of HP and a lot of attack speed, that's it. We went broken set, we got the HP super high up to 92.9, we got the attack speed to 429. If you can get a little rage regen like we did, that is very nice. Key thing though, just get him the extra block. If he's putting out any hits at all, he will be able to kill 1 before he needs to block a 4th, so you're a-okay. Very easy here to use, very easy to build. Dallin is completely stripped of everything. She doesn't need anything for this. Isolde we didn't use. Very simple for Olog, as you can see, we went HP bonus, defense bonus substat for every single piece in Invig, and then we just hunted for tank stats. This is the build. You can get away with a lot worse. You saw, I don't think he took like any damage. Then get him in a Bastion Ring. It does not need to be max promo, but the more promotions, the better. The key thing is the extra block to make sure no one's getting through to Ein or whoever you have in that DPS spot. Now we've got Vortex. I ran him in Invig. We want HP and attack speed. Simple as that. For the artifact, I did an Elysian Epitaph, but we were never close to dying at all, so this was definitely overkill. Just get him in an Invig if you can to buff your Estrade or whomever you use in that spot. It'll be very easy. Here are the total stats. Finally, is it finally? No, we got 2 more. Estrade, very good build, obviously, chief DPS. It doesn't need to be this good, but the better build, the better. Estrade's amazing also because she has such high base attack for an epic. We got this over 19,000. We got her very fast. We got some crit damage. And then, of course, a Lunacy Visor. Finally, Ein, DPS. That's it. You just want some good DPS. This is a good build, but at the end of the day, it's just Ein. I would say Ein's a cool choice because, again, he has very high base attack for a fighter, but he can be so easily replaced by nearly any legendary fighter, as we have discussed. The vast majority of them will have better base stats. It will be really easy. You can do a far worse build. I did him in a Lunacy Visor. This was foolish. He should have been in a Wailing Skull, you know, or even a Watchguard's Ambition if you want a legendary option. All of that would have been better. God, I got an artifact cleanse so badly. There you go, guys. Those are all your substitutions, all the gearing, the full technical explanation of the strategy. I know this was slightly pedantic and very in the weeds, but I want it to be as comprehensive and clear as possible because this, specifically Stage 21 and Stage 19, the melee versions of the new Artifact Material Raid, are so easy. It might not feel like it now if you're missing some Lunacy Visors or you don't have enough of these fighter heroes, but it does not take much. It's so much easier than 22, and everyone should be able to push through it. I hope you do. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions at all. Subscribe to the channel, please, and hit the notification bell. Share with your mother. Like the video. I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.